Okay, we'll start. Uh, so I'm gonna do a dabgyu. Dabgyu means when the lama is late and they have to do a horse race through the material. Uh, I'm gonna cover your homework for tonight, okay? Because it took me like 8 hours to write it, and two of the questions are linguistic. You can get it from the reading, okay? So two of the questions you have to suss out on your own. It's the Chinese Nipan, and it's moksha and mukti and shanti, and you can figure it out from the reading, okay? Those are just linguistic questions, okay? I'm going to cover the three questions on your homework which have some meat to them, okay? First one, I don't know about you, but when I was, and by the way, I'll stop in about half an hour, and then I have the idea Swamiji and me sit up here, and you got to ask us questions, okay? It's really disappointing to me when we have a visiting teacher and you just, what's that dosha? Kappa, when there's everybody's kappa at the same time. So, ask him what his birthday is or anything, okay? Okay. I have some questions for you, Swamiji. Anyway, if they don't ask you, I'll ask you. But, when I was growing up, and so we're talking about Nirvana, right? And the goal of this week, 3 days here and 3 days in the Bahamas, and Swamiji will be teaching us in the Bahamas too. By the way, there's still room there, okay? You just have to get there. Some room opened up today, and there's some tents. The tents are nice unless it's a typhoon. There's nice hotels around, but I would try to come if you can. It's an amazing place. It's one of the few working celibate ashrams in the Western world, and it's nice. It's a beautiful place. It's a good place. You should learn about that place, and you should go for yoga vacations. You know, like you do 5 days in a row, 2 yoga classes a day, and you get some good satsangs and chanting and stuff like that. You can steal their kirtans. Okay, so when I was going, so the point of this week is to address our most. Is the air conditioning on up high? It's amazingly inefficient. Okay. Anyway, uh, the point of this week is that you identify your most, and I identify my. We all identify our most serious klesha, and then we work on it, right? And I wanted to thank, I went to Matt's yoga class today. He worked really well on my specialty. I guess it was just a coincidence. But he did jealousy and addictions. Then I figured I had both. And by the time he was done, I figured I had both. So anyway, but I really liked it, and I'm grateful to the yoga teachers, and I'm hoping Swamiji will continue that in the Bahamas. And maybe some kriyas or pranayama that would affect those dosha types. So I'm asking him to help us, because they're really good at it. Frankly, the Tibetans have it, but those practices were not emphasized, and they were partly lost. You can read them in books, but you don't have monks going around doing a lot of pranayama, okay? So it's kind of a nice marriage that we have. All right. So I wanted to talk about when I was growing up, there was this perception about Nirvana, right? Or the reason they call certain bars Nirvana bar, or they call bands Nirvana. And the idea is that somehow Nirvana is some mindless, blissed out state, right? And that you kind of meditate for a long time and then suddenly you slide into Nirvana and you're in this mindless, blissed out state. And you kind of disappear, you melt into it. That's kind of the feeling, and that's why I think they call a lot of bars Nirvana, because people do that. And I don't know about you, but I grew up hearing that kind of thing. So I thought I would like to address that, in two parts. First of all, is there any historical basis for that idea? You know, is that just a crazy idea, or did it come from someplace real? And then I would say, well, let's start with that. Is there such a thing in Buddhist history? And then secondly, did anybody object to that idea in Buddhist history? Okay, was there anybody who taught that? And what was the reaction of the rest of Buddhism? Okay. And there is a thing in the Abhidharma schools. So there are 4 great schools of ancient India, and they are a ladder. You go up the schools and you get more sophisticated and more correct. But the Buddha taught all 4 schools. Okay, a lot of the ideas of the first school contradict the other schools, and it goes like that. You see, Buddha himself gave teachings that were contradictory, because some people would be attracted to school number 1, and they would benefit even though it wasn't a full explanation. And then some people, then they would graduate to school number 2, school number 3, school number 4. Okay, so all 4 schools were taught by Lord Buddha, but then 3 of them are incorrect. 3.5 of them are incorrect. Okay, technically, but they're useful. It's a good place to start. Okay. So the lowest school is called Cheratma or Vaibhashika. You can call them Abhidharma school. Abhidharma means higher knowledge. Abhidharma is a system of ancient India that was sort of encyclopedic, and they took old sutras and they made extremely dry, boring books out of them. I know because my first 10 years in the monastery, I worked on it. I kind of worked backwards, you know, so they made me do Abhidharma. It was incredibly dry. Okay, and anyway, they have an idea of nirvana they call, I want you to say the word, okay? It's very famous in Tibet. It's called Bem, Rik, Gyun, Chepa. Bem, Rik, Gyun, Chepa. Pembo means your physical body. Sometimes particulate matter, living matter made of molecules, physical body. Okay, Pem Rik. Rik means your mind, the stream of your mind stream. So Bem is the stream of your physical body, and Rik is your stream of your thoughts. Bem Rik. Gyun means the stream. Chepa means suddenly stops. Okay, and that's their definition of nirvana. Okay, so there is a school, the lowest school in ancient India, called Abhidharma, and they said nirvana was Bemrik Gyun Chepa. Then you practice and practice and practice, and then suddenly you're not there anymore. Just suddenly you stop, terminate. Okay, body and mind are discontinued. It's called discontinued. Okay. Why did they think that? Because Lord Buddha said in a couple of places that you reach a place where you have nothing left. And then in a couple of places he said, you stop the sipe korlo, the wheel of life, right? And in your reading, I think you have a drawing of the wheel of life somewhere in this reading. What page is it on? Page 14, okay? When Lord Buddha taught the sipe korlo, the wheel of life, that drawing, he said, when you reach nirvana, you have stopped the wheel of rebirth. So the Abhidharma school thought, oh, he meant we just disappear, you know? Somehow we just stop. And that's nirvana, right? And then I don't know about you, but it just seemed like a weird goal to me. You know, like, what do I do after that? Who's gonna feed my cat? You know, it just seemed like a weird goal to me. I was never comfortable with that, and they taught it to me, and I was never comfortable with it. And then the higher schools debate against the Abhidharma schools. They say, is there such a thing as an arhat, right? Arhat means someone who has achieved nirvana, right? Arhat means foe destroyer of the enemy, arhan, right? And then they ask a question, have they achieved nirvana? Yes, that's what an arhat is. What enemy have they defeated? What do you think? The kleshas, okay? The enemy is the kleshas. A synonym for someone who has reached nirvana is a klesha destroyer. And Swamiji was talking about that. I liked it. So the higher schools asked the Abhidharma school, has anyone ever achieved nirvana? Yes. What do you call them? Arhat, enemy destroyers. Yeah, what do they look like? Where are they? You know. Then they're like, well, there's lots of arhats. Yeah, but Bemrip Gyungchepa. Their mind stopped, their body stopped. Where are they? You know, who are they? Show me a arhat, you know? So then they get stuck. It seems like a dumb place to be, right? I don't know. And they get stuck and then they can't answer. The higher schools say, of course, that the definition of nirvana is it's just the condition of having Swamiji said eradicated. It's a very good word. Eradicate, to rip out from its root the kleshas. Okay, when you no longer have any kleshas at all, then you have reached nirvana, and that's nirvana. Okay, so the higher schools disagree with the Abhidharma schools, but you will hear it in certain countries, like Sri Lanka, Thailand, Burma, those three countries, because only the Abhidharma reached those countries. The other schools didn't reach those countries. So they were very early, they became Buddhists very early, and then it got cut off. And they didn't get the rest of the schools. So you will hear stuff like that, that you reach a place where you are nothing anymore. And we don't agree with that, all right? It's not what nirvana is. I think whenever someone describes what is nirvana or what is enlightenment, you have to question, does it help people? Okay, is it of use to other people? You know, can I serve people if I reach that? I was in college, they taught us, somebody in my college said the test of a religion is some professor when I was in college, and they said the test of a religion is what would happen if everybody was doing it. You see what I mean? So recently we had an incident, some person said they stabbed another person, and they said they were having a tantric experience. But then you have to ask the question, what would happen if everyone was doing that, you know? Now, I mean, if that was a real useful thing, then you have to ask what would happen if everybody was doing that. You see what I mean? And that would be sort of chaos. And then everybody would be in Gyunrik, Bemrik, Gyunchepa. All right, automatic. So it's not like that, okay? Then when you reach nirvana, it has to be a state which is very useful to other people and which serves other people. And enlightenment is even further than that, okay? So that's the basic idea. That's one question I wanted you to hear, okay? Then a person from India last night asked me a question about nirvana. They said, when I was young in India, near Mumbai, what they taught us was that nirvana is the end of rebirth. Okay? Nirvana means you no longer have to take rebirth. Okay? And then she asked me, is that what nirvana means? Right? And you hear that also. Okay? You can say nirvana is the end of the wheel of life. So what, page 4? There's a drawing. Page 14. Those readings are going to get shorter, I'll tell you that. I'm running out of time. But you can see a wheel, okay, on page 14. It's good, I'm good. This wheel was designed by Lord Buddha himself, all right? And a lot of you have had that teaching on that wheel. And there were 2 instances in his life when he created this drawing. And in the drawing is summarized the suffering of life, the 6 forms of suffering in life. So sometimes there are 6 sections midway through the wheel, not the very center, but the next thing out. you can see realms, and if you look closely, you can see animals, or you can see spirits, or you can see hell beings, or like that. So this is a summary of the 6 states of rebirth. There are 6 forms in which you can be reborn. Okay, the 3 better ones are called human, and asura, and deva. So the Tibetans translated deva as worldly pleasure beings, powerful, temporary states of pleasure, heavenly, temporary heavens. And they say it's a very bad place to be, because you get lazy, and then you die terribly. You have a very beautiful life, and then you die terribly. Okay, they're not enlightened. They are worldly devas. Okay, I call them pleasure beings. Then asura means almost pleasure beings, and they like to fight with the pleasure beings because they are consumed by jealousy. So that's a famous war that goes on. Sometimes the Gita is interpreted as the war between the devas and the asuras. Anyway, so these are 3 better births. Then there's a hell realms. There's a guy named what is his name? C.S. Lewis. You should read his books. He wrote a beautiful book called The Screwtape Letters. You should read it. Okay, Screwtape Letters. Very short, very beautiful. And it's a discussion between the devil and his nephew. And he said he had almost went crazy writing it, because he had to put himself in the devil's head. He wrote it from the devil's point of view. And it's an intense, he's got a copy. That's so funny. Okay. It's short, and it's sweet, and it's powerful, okay? Then the devil sends his nephew to corrupt a young man in England in the 1940s, okay? So, but in that book, the devil says one of our greatest achievements in modern times is that no one believes in hell anymore. They think it's not real. They think there's no such place. They think it's just some kind of, hangover you had once. Or, they interpret it as some small thing happening in this world. It's not true. Okay? And that's another subject, and we can talk about it someday. But the realms of hell are pictured in that. Okay? And then there are realms of spirits, sort of tormented spirits. Okay, like what they say, when ghosts in a haunted house or something like that. So anyway, there are 6 different realms, animal realm, 6 different ways you can take birth. Okay, so some people have called Nirvana the end of rebirth. You got out of this circle. Okay, I think if you look carefully on the upper right-hand side, is there anything there? There's Lord Buddha. He's pointing to the moon. On the other side, upper left-hand corner, is there a big circle? Yeah. So he's pointing to Nirvana. Okay, but he's not in the wheel. He's outside the wheel. Okay, that's the idea of that painting. So then I used to have trouble with that. Somebody says, "Oh, the definition of Nirvana is you get to escape the wheel of rebirth." And I'm like, well, first of all, I was brought up in a country where we didn't believe in rebirth, so that doesn't impress me so much. You know what I mean? No, I mean, I'm not so worried about being a bug next life. My mom didn't believe in next life. You either go to heaven or you go to hell, and that's it. You don't have to worry about bugs, I mean, that's how I was brought up. And so it didn't impress me much. And then my lamas would press me, oh, you got to escape the wheel of rebirth. And then I'm like, well, what's going to happen to me after that? If I'm not any of the different ways a person can be, what am I after that? Am I Bemrip Gingchepa? Do I just kind of dissolve and, like I had too many martinis and, I'm in the Nirvana bar, and I'm just, what's happened, it's not very attractive to tell somebody you can escape the wheel of rebirth. And then I'm like, well, where will I be? What will I be? Because I won't be any of the 6 ways you can be. And then what's going to happen with my friends? You see what I mean? Like, to be honest, I love a lot of my friends. I would like to be in my future lives with them, you know. I don't want to end rebirth completely if it means I can't be with my friends or my family or people I love. If you just want me to dissolve into some corner of the universe, then it's not attractive to me. I don't want to do that. It's not a big goal for me. Don't tell me that. I'm not going to work for that. It doesn't seem right to me. These descriptions of, oh, I will become an enlightened being and serve countless living creatures on countless planets, those attract me. Those are sexy. You know, why are we obsessed with X-Men and Spider-Man and Iron Man and Transformers and Superwoman and Wonder Woman and Elektra and what's this Tomb Raider lady? She wants Joan of Arc, but we don't make... She doesn't wear a good suit. Anyway, you know, why are we so attracted, you know? It's that we want to do that. All of us there's a deep human desire to save the planet. Each person would like to be the one, you know? It's like a Jesus complex or something. You would like to be that. Deep down you would like to be that, you know? That's your deepest wish. You make any superhero movie, it sells. It makes $5 million in the first week, you know? And they're not different from each other. Transformers 3 is the same as 1, is the same as 5. You know? Just endless smashing things. And, but we love it and we're attracted to it. I don't want a nirvana where I just disappear and I'm not reborn as anything. I want to be like a being who operates on multiple planets and helps people. I want that. I believe in that. That's what I want, you know. So then you have to explain, what did they mean when you stop the wheel of life? And what does it mean to say you're not reborn anymore? And I wanted to talk about that a little bit, okay? So when I was growing up and I heard about rebirth, then I don't know about you. All these thoughts were imprinted on our minds before age 10 or something, right? What is nirvana? What is karma? What is rebirth? So for me, rebirth meant there was a factory somewhere in Kansas. I don't know why. It was always in the Midwest, and they were producing bodies, dog bodies. And there's an assembly line. Somehow they feed them the stuff they feed cows. And they crank out dog bodies. And they have little trap doors on the back. And then spirits, people die on the East Coast. And then spirits kind of waft over the country. And then somebody grabs them, a spirit, and shoves it into the trap door in the back of a dog. And then they slam it. And then you're reborn into a dog. That's the image I had in my... I think yours is similar. I bet it's similar. You just don't want to admit it. No, it was like, oh, my spirit will go and get caught in another animal. Or something like that, okay? That's how we think about rebirth. Okay, so we talk about this countless times, right? We talk about this countless times. So all the things around me, according to our belief, are tiny images that are popping out of karmic vasana seeds. And I don't really see a pen, right? There's a vasana or a seed, karmic seed in my subconscious. It pops open. A tiny image of a pen comes out. What do we said self-illuminating, right? It is luminous image. And then my mind slaps it onto this cylinder. And then I see it as a pen, okay? And if I had not planted that seed, I might see it as a chew toy. Something to chew, okay? How did that seed get planted in my mind? I offered a pen to another person. You can only plant a seed, a vasana, with another person, or a sanskara. You can only plant it with another person. You must offer a writing instrument to another person, and you must observe yourself. You must witness yourself doing it. And in that moment that you let go of the writing instrument and give it to another person, in that moment, your mind records the event as a karmic seed. And then, a couple weeks later, Geshe Michael's hand goes into his vest pocket. That's why Lord Buddha made this pocket. And the hand comes out. And in that millisecond, a karmic seed opens in your mind. It produces a small luminous image, and it slaps it on this cylinder, and you see a pen. But if you had planted a different seed, right? Like giving dogs things to chew, okay? Then you would have a different seed. You'd have a seed in your mind, and I would pull this thing out, and you would start drooling, okay, uncontrollably, because you want to chew on it, okay? Now I'm going to say something very important, and don't forget it, okay? I'm going to say something important, and don't forget it. If the karmic seed that opens in your mind makes you have an uncontrollable desire to chew this pen, you have been reborn as a dog. And that's all there is to being reborn. Okay? There's no dog factory making bodies and your spirit gets locked into a dog's body that was already there. There's no such thing. Rebirth means the seeds in your mind to see this object as a pen wear out. New seeds are waiting behind them. Those are seeds for seeing it as a chew toy and wanting to chew on it desperately, okay? When the seeds to see it as a pen wear out, and when they are replaced by seeds waiting behind them to see it as a pen, you is a dog. Got it? And it can happen in 10 seconds. Okay? You don't have to get hit by a car. Okay? It's very... If you truly understand where the world is coming from, rebirth becomes an issue. It becomes a frightening issue. It takes 10 seconds to become a dog. And you won't know. Because you won't remember. Because you won't even have enough karmic seeds to remember what you were 10 seconds ago. And you will be a dog. Okay? And they can't get enlightened easily. They can't think. They can't come to Swamiji's talks. Got it? Seriously. If you really grasp why you're seeing yourself as a human, it's frightening. It's very frightening. And you become a very spiritual person. It'll wear off by the time we leave. No, I mean, it does. It wears off. But it's not like you have to believe in some Asian idea about you might be a cockroach in your next life. It's not that. It's that the way you're perceiving your hand right now is coming from seeds in your mind, from having given things to other people, charity, dana, right? And if those seeds wear out, which they will, then seeds waiting behind it might make you see a paw. And then you is a dog. Okay? That's what it is to be a dog. And you won't remember what you were 5 minutes before that. You'll feel like you've always been a dog. And you won't be able to think clearly. You will be a dog. Okay? It's very frightening. Okay? So now, what does it mean to escape the wheel of rebirth? Okay? Now it's a different ball game, right? When you understand well enough how karmic seeds produce your world, and you start acting on that regularly, for example, with screaming bosses or partners, they yell at you. Under the influence of this training, you look at them You know, by the way, the reaction of a well-trained spiritual person to an angry person is like this. Because they're trying to remember, when did I plant that seed? Like, this is the most insulting thing you can do at our ashram. Someone yells at you and you go, like, you don't say anything back to them. You're just like, and that means, how did I create this idiot? You know, like, what did I do? It's worse than getting angry back, you know? It's a big insult. You say, you're a fool, and the person goes. You're like, how did I create this person? When did I call somebody a fool recently? A well-trained spiritual person is always going around like, why? How did I make this person like that? And then their vision is automatically directed to their own heart. What did I do to make this person like that? Okay. As you get better at thinking like that, you destroy your negative emotions, your kleshas. That destroys your kleshas. Because you don't get angry back. And you get out of the habit of getting angry back. It's what Swamiji said about hitting a pillow. It's dangerous to get angry once. Because you'll get in the habit of getting angry. And then that's hard to get out of the habit, right? So, as you get better, you react more and more to negative people and things with this. And then you reach a point where you stop reacting negatively at all, okay? Because it doesn't help anything. It's wrong. It creates new irritating people. Understanding overcomes your negative emotions, okay? Got it? Only understanding. In our system, nothing else can stop anger, and nothing else can stop jealousy. Everything else is a band-aid. Everything else is a band-aid. You can say, don't get mad at your boss. Don't get mad at your partner. It's unpleasant. It gives you a, ulcer. It gives you a heart attack. But in the end, it would create weird seeds in your mind. And you might be, your old seeds will wear out and suddenly you're surrounded by 10,000 screaming, vicious people. That's called hell. You see what I mean? Because you kept getting angry at people. You see what I mean? So, there's an interesting thing, and it's the same in the Yoga Sutra in the 4th chapter. What is it? Karma Shukla Akrishna Yoginas Trivida Mitresham. For a yogi, karmas are neither black nor white. There are 3 kinds, Trividam. In the 4th chapter of the Yoga Sutra, they are talking about the process, the point which you reach in your life, where your understanding of where stuff is coming from is so strong that it prevents old karmic seeds from opening. They can't open. Okay? Technically, you don't get rid of them. They are sitting there in your storehouse consciousness, alaya vijnana. They are staying in you. You have them. Billions upon billions of karmic seeds are waiting in your heart chakra. But when you reach a point of understanding, they can't open anymore. It short circuits them. It's in the 4th chapter of the Yoga Sutra also. It's very beautiful. You will never have to pay back those debts. Okay? It's very interesting. That's nirvana. Okay? The most subtle klesha, the final klesha to go, is avidya. And it's the source of all other ones. Okay? If you can destroy your misunderstanding of your screaming partner by this, okay? That means you're getting close, okay? Like you don't respond anymore. They're like, I'm yelling at you, and you're like, yeah, I know. I'm just trying to figure out where the heck you came from. And as your reaction gets more and more like that, avidya starts to disappear. When the subtlest form of avidya is gone, old karmic seeds cannot open anymore. Okay. So what happens to the dog rebirth? You use up the seeds to see this as a pen, they wear out. That's, by the way, why pens run out of ink. Pens don't run out of ink. No pen has ever run out of ink, okay? The person using the pen ran out of seeds. You have to understand that. It's very profound, you know? No car ever broke. Nobody ever got old, okay? It's just seeds wore out in your mind, okay? It's nothing else. So what's going to happen if I have reached a certain level of understanding that I can't get angry anymore because I'm still worried about, I'm too much thinking about where the hell they came from. What did I do last week to make this person, right? The seeds to see this as a pen have worn out. New seeds cannot open. New old bad seeds cannot open. Even new old good seeds can't open. Nothing. None of the old seeds can open. So what happens then? You know, that's the end of rebirth. Okay, there's no seeds left to be anything else because they can't open. Okay, they can't open. Then the wheel has stopped, and rebirth has stopped. Am I gone? Okay, my 10 seeds were out. I can't have any other seeds. Does suddenly everything disappear in my life? No. There are a third set of seeds. There's old bad karmas, there's old good karmas, and then there's pure karmas. Okay? There's old good karmas, there's old bad karmas, and then there's pure karmas. Okay? Then the pure karmas kick in, and they create a body of light. It's very beautiful. Okay, so the answer to the koan is, do you stop the wheel of life when you reach nirvana? Yeah. Why? Your understanding is so powerful that old good seeds and old bad seeds can't open anymore. You cannot be born again as a human. Does that mean I just disappear? No, because there's other kinds of seeds in you called pure seeds. Okay. What are pure seeds? Pure seeds are good seeds planted by conscious understanding of where stuff comes from. Got it? Okay? The seeds like here, watch. The good seeds planted by trying to figure out where the heck your partner's anger came from tonight are pure seeds. And they create a body of light. Okay? So how does that differ from a impure good seed? Impure good seed is like they yell at you, you never had any training, you're like, oh, I'll try to be patient with them. You know, they're unpleasant, I shouldn't fight, I'll try to be patient for them. That's a good, we call it dirty good karma, sakcheki gewa, a dirty good karma. It's a good karma, but it's dirty. Why? You don't understand they came from you. You're just trying to be nice. It doesn't involve understanding that they came from you. You're just trying to be nice to them. That's a dirty good karma. What makes it dirty? You're not responding out of knowledge. You're responding out of uneducated goodness, which is dangerous. It's very interesting. So you'll make a dirty good karma. So what's the difference between a pure good karma and a dirty good karma? Dirty good karmas wear out. Pure good karmas don't wear out. That's interesting, you see? Like if you have a relationship and it's going well for 6 months. Swamiji talked about it. And then it starts to fall apart. They all start to fall apart. If they start to fall apart, it's a sign that that relationship is coming from dirty good karmic seeds. Okay? And if you understood how to create pure karmic seeds, you could have an enlightened relationship. This is something cool, okay? Then I'll stop and we'll have question and answer. Lord Buddha, on the night, you want the real story? Okay, it's called Sultemba. Sultemba means all that stuff under the Bodhi tree at Bodh Gaya, and the demons came and threw spears at him and they turned into flowers and landed on him and then he got enlightened. That's all a fake. Okay, it's not true. That isn't how he got enlightened. He was enlightened before he got to this planet, okay? That was all like a show to help people. It's not the real story, okay? The real story is awesome. And it's in the scriptures, but you have to know where to look. And nobody's translated it, mostly. But on the night before his enlightenment, he reached a subtle obstacle. He couldn't get through a subtle obstacle, okay? And then he got stuck. And then all the Buddhas of the universe they assembled, mentally they're all talking to each other. How are we going to help this guy? He's going to be the next Buddha. But he's got this obstacle. He's got to get over this obstacle. What can we do to help him? Then somebody said, he needs a partner. He needs a spiritual partner. He's got to have a partner. She will get him to enlightenment. That will bring him over over the top. And they engaged the holy angel called Tilottama. Okay, you can check it out sometime. Tilottama. Okay, they proposed an enlightened being called. Well, she wasn't quite enlightened. Okay, Tilottama, and they brought her, and then he meditated together with her all night. Meh. And in the morning they got enlightened together, and that's the real story. Okay, that's a beautiful story. Okay, and then those seeds were pure. Those seeds were done with knowledge, and then that body will never finish. That's a kind of being that's not inside the wheel, but is outside the wheel. And then you see him outside the wheel in the picture, right? He's in the upper right. He's not in the wheel anymore. Then those of you who know that became institutionalized in the Wongs as the Shirab Yeshiki Wong, the third empowerment. Okay, that night became institutionalized in the empowerments granted in our lineage, and that's where it came from. And that was the first one. It's very beautiful. Okay, so anyway, that's all I have to say. I think we'll do questions answered. Don't embarrass me in front of Swamiji and sit there like a kappa. Okay, like ask some profound questions. Okay, so you can only answer 2 of your homework questions from what I just said. 2 of them you can answer that are just linguistic stuff. And then there'll be one more which is about the 4 seals, and that you can't answer yet. Okay, so about the 4 seals, leave it for tomorrow. So the 2 questions you answer from the reading, 2 questions you answer from what I just said. Okay? You're not out of your homework. Okay, so Swamiji, you ready? So we'll tag team. We have about half an hour, something, 20 minutes. Swamiji, you choose. You choose.
I choose.
Good luck.
Okay. I'll start with that.
Loud.
Okay, so question for Swamiji. Could you speak about the tradition of celibacy in your lineage and your own struggle with that and the benefits of it and why and where you are?
It's a tough question, right?
Did anybody hear it? Do you want to? We should repeat it.
Okay, so the question is how is celibacy perceived in our tradition, and how I dealt with any of the problems with that.
And the
benefits of celibacy. Okay, so I think the celibacy is it's one of the vratas or the vows taken in all traditions. Where people become monks. It's called brahmacharya the same in Tibetan or the
Yeah.
brahmacharya?
Sang.
But the meaning of brahmacharya means to have the conduct that leads to Brahman. Ideally, when you say somebody is a brahmachari, it means the one who's already realized it. That would be the highest definition of it. And then we always have like a multi-definitions for different types of people. So brahmacharya is the conduct that leads to the highest realization. And one of the wonderful vows is brahmacharya that can be taken either by monks, which means for life, or by partners for a little bit of a time. This is really a huge subject, but the main benefit is, as you know, in the Raja Yoga Sutras, is that the one gains an incredible energy to accomplish the work that will take somebody several lifetimes. He or she can do it in one lifetime. That's the true benefit of it. Now, of course, the brahmacharya in our tradition has an aspect that is related to celibacy and also an aspect that is related to controlling of all senses. So there's a story in the Ramayana. I don't know how many people know about this. And in Ramayana, Hanuman, who is the monkey god, he is the only one who can fly over to Sri Lanka to liberate Sita. And he was a very well-known celibate. And all other monkeys, when they were trying to jump over into Sri Lanka, they would fall into the ocean. But he was the only one who could actually go over. And the symbolism of this is that the Sri Lanka stands for the unconscious mind. And when he goes there and he finds Sita, he sets the whole Lanka on fire, which is kind of similar like burning off all of the karmic seeds. And he could do it through the power of his chastity. And many stories exemplify this. In my opinion, brahmacharya is more equivalent to the term of vairagya, because vairagya means to have not just a non-attachment, but not to be able to be pulled in any of the direction of the five senses. So vairagya, you know the word which means non-attachment. So a brahmachari who is just abstaining from sexual conduct, but yet is involved in engaging all his senses in all ways, is not truly a brahmachari. So in a traditional yoga, they're very strict rules, and you have to kind of go for a long time with your teacher. You have to have a guru for this also, because otherwise if you try to do it on your own, you'll find excuses for not wanting to follow it, and then you maybe, the people become fanatics, and then the very celibacy becomes the objective of the spiritual work, which is, the means are confused with the end, and the celibacy is only the means. So there are many benefits. One is health benefit. So we have different pranas in our system, and there is something which is called ojas, and I think in Chinese medicine they call it jing. And we're born with a certain amount of ojas, which is the certain amount of energy that is in your heart, in fact. This is like the 8 drops, I think, that we talked about similar things. And this ojas gets destroyed through excessive sexual activity. So the idea is that, again, this energy is transmuted from raw energy, like a raw material, is transmuted into a very subtle spiritual force that has a protective effect on your aura and, for the spiritual work. It strengthens your nadis. Do you know nadis, the word? The energy channels, so that they can withstand the high pressure of the energy movement. So that's kind of one of the reasons that brahmacharya was like that. Taken many, many more benefits. I think the problem with this kind of vow is that the sexual desire is not perceived as sin, but it's very difficult for us to handle it safely. And this is where you have to have a guru for this. And when you take the vows, you take them in front of your guru. So that even though guru is not going to check you with his secret cameras or anything like this, but you will know that he is connected with you on a psychic level, on a spiritual level, so that he will help you also when you're tempted. And needless to say that this is one of the most difficult things to deal with. I mean, this just remains with you. Swami Vishnu was very open about this, and he says there's no yogi who did not have problems with it. And in fact, sometimes when you kind of move in that direction, you experience the full force of that energy, and for this reason you need to take the vows, you need to have a particular type of life and a diet and everything, because this force is just totally out of hand with most people, and it takes a lot of skill and a lot of humility to handle it. So in our teachings we also had another dimension. I think this is kind of the dedication to Lama. For us is also devotion to Guru and to the Lord. So the devotion plays an incredible role here. Because the brahmacharya, even though he addresses the sexual energy, we say that sexual energy is a part of the kundalini energy. That is the energy of the whole creation. And all the creative work arises from the same place, from the same energy. It may take the form of physical beings, where babies are born in that way, or emotion, let's say aesthetics, different artworks or philosophies. So everything is the result of this energy being transformed in a proper way. And you can see even with athletes and the sportsmen and everybody, they take temporary kind of vows for maybe whatever, weeks or months or so, in order to be able to condense that energy in a certain way. So we do also certain practices in yoga that they help this. The bandhas are done, but in our teachings, in our school, the bandhas are not done freely. So when you come to a Shivananda class, we don't teach bandhas, because the bandhas reverse the ordinary flow of energy. They need to be handled again properly. And I know that the different schools have the different reasons why they teach them. But for the transformation of this energy, bandhas are necessary. As I said, food is necessary. Well, we do some little visualizations and things like this. But traditionally, in India, brahmacharya is called the 100 monkey man. Shata kapaya, which means that you have to be busy all the time. They keep you busy like a horse, You wake up in the morning, the guru says, what did you do? Okay, then you go and you run like this. Because it's very easy for the mind to get distracted. And then there are rules also, which are sometimes tough. For Westerners, we have to have a little different approach to it, I think. Otherwise, everybody will be scared to death.
Yeah.
What would you, can we ask Lama Michael Geshe to share some of his views on this? That would be wonderful.
I don't know, it's good for me to hear that Swami Vishnu said every yogi had trouble with it. I had trouble with it. It was difficult. And
I skipped that question altogether.
Yeah, It was hard for me because I grew up, a lot of monks go in the monastery when they're 7 or 8, and they've never had relations with a lady, I became a monk at 30, and I went to the monastery at 22 or something, and then I was celibate since then. But it was hard. And I think what Swamiji said that I would agree with especially is that I lived with my teacher. So if I had a problem with masturbation or something like that, then I had to go to him and tell him. And then he was a tough, old-fashioned Lama, and he would really, beat on me, not physically, once in a while. No, just once. But it was so embarrassing to tell him that I had slipped in that way. I never slipped with a person, but it was very embarrassing to tell him. And then that forced me to keep it better. And the embarrassment of having to admit it to him made me later able to keep it well. So I think I agree that to have a Lama around all the time, it's what Swamiji said, you take vows in front of the Lama, and then hopefully you live close to them so that you can confess to them when you have a weakness, and then they help you and they guide you. And I don't think you could do it on your own. But the results of it is endless energy. For me, it's always been extraordinary levels of energy, and I can work, I can work just about constantly. Well, I worked in the car all the way up and downtown, and then I worked, we went to a lecture, I did all your homeworks in the back of the lecture, and you just have extraordinary energy, and also I think one advantage, if you're a spiritual teacher, if you can keep celibacy, is that people can trust you. People of the opposite sex especially. People can sense if you're keeping it well or not. People have a good nose. And so if you're a male or you're teaching ladies, or if you're a lady and you're teaching men, and if you're keeping your celibacy, they can smell it, and then they trust you more. So you're not, you don't have any ulterior motives when you're talking to a woman, and they can feel it, and then they're more open to share their needs with you because they know you're not going to take advantage of them. So I think, if you can keep it, it's really sweet. And I think you need a lama to keep it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's lady was at it.
Brahmacharya is a masculine word. Brahmacharya. For a woman, it would be brahmachari.
Yes.
So I've never heard in the history of India, I've studied in India, was studied Indian Sanskrit. I've never heard of a brahmachari. So is celibacy as important as it is for a woman as it is for a man? And if yes, then
Yes. Absolutely. Of course, it's important. It's for both, and for men and women. In our teachings, we say that the woman is 8 times more powerful than the man on that level. So you can contemplate what it means. Of course, if a woman, in fact, can have the control over her energy like this, she will go faster than the man in a spiritual domain. So yeah, for everybody, brahmacharini, it's the same. So anybody, there are many swaminis and ladies. Of course, in the most modern India, we have more ladies that are swamis, but in olden times it was primarily men's job. But I think things have changed. Yeah. I would just add that another thing is that the brahmacharya can give you is a tremendous memory. And this is necessary in spiritual teachings, which you have to memorize the text, you have to memorize the practices, and you have to memorize your past lifetimes sometimes. You have to do all these things. So the health, one, energy, another, accomplishments. You're speeding up your evolution. So you have to understand when you keep this vow, even for a little time, you have to understand why you're doing it. You have to have a purpose to it and not make that goal becomes the only objective, and then you become, a fanatic. And then you think all day long just how to save yourself from ladies or how to save yourself from men. Of course, in the West, I think it's quite difficult to do it because there's a certain freedom. Even the way how we're dressed and how we approach to one another is much more difficult than in the East. But having said this, everybody has problems, the East and West. We've seen enough of that. I call this lady is just raised her hand. Yes.
You can't get rid of, say, your anger. That's my specialty. You can't get rid of your anger until you see emptiness directly, and every time you get angry, you kind of seem to get more angry. What do you do? I mean, what are means to stop it and to eliminate your anger, and at least to just calm it down?
Yeah. So I'll repeat the question. In our tradition, you have to have a direct experience of ultimate reality. Hang on. Only Lama has this phone number. Okay. Uh, so I have to answer. So she said, in our tradition, it's impossible to remove a klesha without understanding ultimate reality and without seeing it directly. It's not possible. It's part of the definition of nirvana, right? Nyundir Malupa Papi. Soso Tango means as a result of a direct experience of ultimate reality, it's the only way you can stop your negative emotions permanently. You can suppress them, but you can't stop them. Then Rebecca's question was, we keep getting angry, and every time we get angry, we plant more seeds to get angry. So how are you ever gonna get over the anger? Because you have to be semi-patient to see emptiness directly. Okay, it's a catch-22. You can't see emptiness directly without getting rid of your anger, and you can't get rid of your anger without seeing emptiness directly. Okay. Then I think the easiest answer, and I think Swamiji would agree in both of our traditions, and I think it's the beauty of our traditions, both of them. We share more things than we don't share, I think. It's the blessing of your teacher. Okay, so you must have a teacher. You must have a close teacher. And if they're not close, you go to them. Okay? You don't get attached to a place, I asked His Holiness in 1973, something like that. Who should I study with? And he said, you go to Geshe Tarchin. And I'm like, where does he live? Okay, so I was surfing in Del Mar, California. He said, New Jersey. I said, in my mind, I said, the armpit of the nation. That's it, in Del Mar, that's what they call New Jersey. And we see people from New Jersey. They come up in black cars, and they're looking out the window to see if a cloud will go over the sun. And then if it does, they come out of their car, and they look all pasty white, and you're like, and then His Holiness said, New Jersey. And I'm like, and then you go. So I lived there, I don't know, for 25 years with him in the same house. And it's only the blessing of I think, close contact with whoever your heart teacher is. You have to drop whatever you're doing and go be with them and stay close to them. And then that's the blessing that can break the cycle. Otherwise, it's almost impossible, because you gotta stop your anger to see emptiness, but you gotta see emptiness to stop your anger, and it's almost impossible. So there has to be some outside blessed force that breaks the cycle. I don't think it's ever anything else than your teacher blessing.
I agree. I just would like to add one more thing. And that's when you're working with any negative quality like this, just by becoming aware of it and working with this is an acquisition, it's not a loss. So if you look at it, like there was one sage and somebody came to him and he said, I would like to lead a spiritual life, but my life is full of, let's say, kleshas, right? My life is full of obstacles and difficulties. And I said, what should I do? And then the sage told him, there is no path outside of the obstacles. The obstacles are the path. And it's like, it's a good way of approaching it. So you don't need to look at the ultimate solution right now, but it's the way for you to move towards getting at your Lama and anchoring yourself to it. Okay, sorry, I just saw his hand first. The guitarist. Yes, that's what really guru-disciple relationship is about. It's it's everything, The guru is somebody that can see you even if he is not in a physical form anymore, and if you're nowhere. He doesn't need anything, any medium for that. What really is necessary, because you cannot see that directly, is to cultivate the faith. And this is something that is almost miraculous. Some people seem to have that faith easily, some people don't, and I think it comes from a karma. So that's where you're serving the guru or lama, you're creating the merits for that experience to become real for you. So Shakti path, of course, is the path in initiations. When you receive any initiation from your guru, it's a Shakti path. It's a transfer of the Shakti of the guru. When you take the vows with the guru, he is empowering you to do certain things, but also is protecting you by the power that he's given you. For example, to be a monk, you have to not just be good reader and a practitioner, but also the teacher has to make sure that you have strength enough to resist the temptations that are going to come your way. And they're going to come your way 100 times stronger than to an ordinary person. And naturally, some people don't make it. And then Swami Vishnu used to say, if you don't make it in this lifetime, it takes many, many lifetimes to make a good Swami, a good Lama. So you just have to have faith. Not to say that you cannot do this in one lifetime, but it is kind of a Shakti path. You think so? Oh, the gentleman here with the book. We have to see the copy.
I had a question. I don't really know much about devotion. It's just curious. So thank you for teaching.
Oh, thank you.
So I'll speak about myself personally, so I don't want to ask the question. I have a tendency, I think, an innate desire to strike a greater balance within myself as it relates to the things that you outlined, the properties of devotion. For instance, I would prefer to be more peaceful and quiet instead of attack. So I guess my question is, what is the nature of transforming those innate qualities that we have, and are they innate? Is there a perfect balance of things that we all should strive for, like a perfect balance of the good in ourselves, and that's something we should look for? How does that actually work when we're working with these
A very good question. Yeah, this is a dosha question. If this gentleman is saying that he seemed to have a good innate capacity to balance his doshas, the kapha, the pitta, and the vata. So that's the first part, as far as I understand. The second part is more like whether these doshas are inherent in us in a way that what do we need to do to be balanced? That this is kind of cutting through the question. Does the balance come by itself, or do we have to make some effort to do it? Does that answer everything? So the doshas are part of our prakriti, or our nature. In fact, the doshas are called prakriti. There's two things. There's a prakriti and vikriti. Prakriti means that which you were born with, which are certain tendencies. Of course, it's related to your karmas. And when these doshas come out of the balance, they're called vikriti. And sometimes when you're out of balance, it looks like that's your nature. And usually people are not always sure what to do. So you need to have somebody look at you and diagnose you, tell you what your doshas are predominant and so on. So I think the whole idea of keeping the doshas in a balance is to use your discrimination in a correct way. Because most of the diseases, the problems and addictions are the result of misusage or underusage of your discriminative power. So as you said, sometimes you feel like you want to sit in the back and be quiet, and that's what you just feel it's the right thing to do. So you're really following, I wouldn't call it like an instinct, I prefer to use the word some kind of a minor intuition, not necessarily the highest intuition, but it's to follow your heart and you know exactly what to do. But sometimes things are difficult. For example, you may have some pitta, some kind of tendency to anger, but not very strong, and you live with another person who has strong anger, strong pitta, it can imbalance your pitta. So that requires some kind of adjustment on your part. Maybe not be with them too much, or maybe you'll go out for a walk or something like this. Certainly do not marry a person like this. So it's like, because what happens is, you have to kind of have the closest of the friends or somebody that has some compatibility in terms of doshas with you. Let's say a kapha person doesn't like much of activity, so if kapha person sits with a vata who is like a bird, kapha person won't even notice anything, but the vata people will just bother them all the time. Why don't you move? Why don't you move? Why don't you move? So I think it's the all diseases that come as a result of the doshas coming out of the balance, are the result of, as I said, of a miscomprehension of the reality. And in this case, translating in a more practical way, not using one discriminative power properly. Let's say if it's cold outside, but you go with with a t-shirt, that's kind of where your discrimination is failing. It should be warm. And a warm place, it should be. And most people kind of should know this, but a lot of people don't. Especially when you're young, you think, oh, I can just do another time, and. So there's many layers of answers there, I think.
I think one more. We're a little bit over. Yeah.
Sorry, he's just.
I didn't get that last part. Eliminate fear in order to.
If you eliminate fear, will you eliminate all of it? If the fear foundation.
Kleshas.
Yeah, I think that's
You
useful.
wanna
I don't know, like from what point of view.
Okay. I'm trying to think about fear and what's the Tibetan word for fear and how we talk about fear. In our tradition, fear is mostly used as a positive thing. Like we had a moment, maybe 45 minutes ago. I was talking about how you might become a dog in a few minutes, and you wouldn't remember what you were before. And then I felt a little wave of fear go through the room, and we think that's healthy. We think that kind of fear is healthy because it makes you want to plant better seeds. You see what I mean? You might be a better person if you believed that in 5 minutes you could become a dog because of seeds that are already in your mind. You see what I mean? Nobody has to kill you and take your spirit and put you in a body, a different body, right? So that, I think in our tradition, fear is often used as a motivation. But I think as you go higher in your teachings, then fear has to be replaced by compassion as a motivation. I think that's what you mean. Наверное, это значит ваше вопросы, да. So I'm thinking it's like that. Yeah, as time goes on, your motivation will change. And I'm thinking in this course, we will shift, okay? Tonight. Let's do it now. It's a good point. I'm not trying to get rid of jealousy anymore. I'm going to try to cultivate joy in other people's accomplishments. When I see a good teacher who might threaten me, then I will, no, rather than envy, I will think, that's cool. He's really cool, And let's do that tonight, okay? So tomorrow we'll start talking about, rather than saying, let's fight anger because I'm afraid of what it will do to me, how about we say, I'll become a person who has ultimate patience with everybody. Let's make it positive. I think at some point I respond better to positive in my work, okay? So I work in a corporation for, I don't know, 20 years. And the owner, he's an Israeli guy. And he was so tough on me. One night I went to him, I said, I have to go home early. I'm going home early from now on. I'm not staying after 1 a.m. And he got very angry. You know, it was like that, you know. And then slowly I got it to 12 and then 11 and 10 and then I was going home at 5 o'clock. And I said, fire me, I'm going home at 5 o'clock, you know. Just fire me, if you don't like it, fire me. And then he used to scream and rant and I'd say, I have to go to see my teacher, I have to go for my classes, you know, I have to go. And then he screamed and he yelled and then I threatened me. And then finally I just got trepto, in Tibetan they call it trepto. Trepto means I'm saying, okay, fire me, I don't care. You know. And then one day he calls me and he says, we have a big order, you know, we need you. There's nobody in the company like you. You're the only one who can save us tonight. You know, you are the man. You know, you are the one who can save the company. And I'm like, yeah, you know, it's me, you know. He says, can you stay till 11? I'm like, I'll stay till 1, you know. And then so I think, so from tonight we'll change it we'll switch over from fear to, let's make, we have to, at some point we have to make it a positive. Fight the klesha by developing its opposite. And I say something that I'll repeat something I said last night. My biggest problem is jealousy. And there's a special kind of jealousy in Tibetan. It's called PQ, say PQ. PQ means professional Dharma teacher jealousy. And there's a word for it. Okay? It's the jealousy that you have for another teacher. Once you start teaching, like a yoga teacher who's jealous of another yoga teacher. And there's a special word for that in Tibetan. But in my experience, if you can break through your jealousy and invite Swamiji and play music together and hang out together and enjoy Swamiji, the person who was jealous before becomes capable of greater joy than people who were never jealous. You see what I mean? A person who was angry and has overcome that anger, they become a more patient person than someone who never had a problem with anger. So I can enjoy Swamiji more than you do. No, because I'm so good at jealousy. So, I know. No, but then you can, what I'm saying is, let's stop the fear tonight and, you know, stop thinking I'm a jealous person. The person who was most jealous, when they fight that klesha and beat it, becomes more, celebrating of other people's talents than the person who never had a problem with jealousy, okay? Ex-alcoholics are the best teachers about substance abuse. You know, people who've never had an alcoholic problem are not very good counselors. The people who got over alcoholism are the best teachers for alcoholics, right? Bas, can you lead us in some kind of final chant?
Yeah, surely.
Okay.
Should we have
Can you do
guitars
one?
or so? Can we have a guitar?
I think if
Just
can you do
here.
it?
I don't need any
Can you
sound.
do it?
Yeah.
Okay. He needs his guitar.
Something soft.
Up to you. You do.
Shira.
He can. I can give him this.
Just recently we had a Shivaratri. I don't know if you know about this. This is a very wonderful celebration of Lord Shiva. Symbolically, there was a marriage of Lord Shiva and Shakti. And then we chant all night long and we do some pujas. So there's a sweet chant. I hope you will like it. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. 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 I just want to say thank you very much to all of you for your patience, and I really am very honored that you invited me. I feel it's very special. I don't know what else to say. You're most welcome to come to the Bahamas to finish up your klesha killing, and I will say that you're really, really very lucky to have a wonderful teacher like Lama Geshe Michael. Thank you.